for more on the situation on global charity. I'm joined by Doug White. He's the author of Abusing Donor Intent, a nonprofit expert who directs fundraising management programs at Columbia University. Good to see you and welcome to the show. This isn't the first time there's been a little controversy with respect to charities. Would it help if there was some sort of government oversight on these charities, or did they just have to self-regulate themselves?
Well, there is a little bit of government oversight already. Many charities in the United States feel it's already too much. I'm not so much against the idea of government oversight or more of it, but I do think that the government might not do a very good job. So we're really stuck in the real world of trying to regulate ourselves, and that's going to take a lot of work. We, by the way, are not immune from what you guys have just talked about in China. And what strikes me after watching this last piece is how similar some of our problems are. But that man at the very end of that piece was so compelling, and his story is the story that we should be telling every student in the United States who wants to be at a nonprofit.
Which is?
Trust is so important. It's the most important asset a charity can have, and if you lose it, you've lost it for a very long time. And people who don't understand that ought not to be in the world of charities.
Is it fair? Because, look, let's be honest, on the media side, we're always skeptical of everything, and we like to take that sort of spin or twist, if you will. But for the general public who doesn't watch every single minute of every content about charity, they don't know which charity is good or which charity is bad. I mean, they're just kind of going with maybe what their friends or professor may be recommending to them. How do they know it's a good charity?
The answer to that, quite frankly, is they do not know, and there's no ironclad way to find out. I always advise, first of all, never to give to a charity who calls you on the telephone if you've never spoken to that organization before. Just never do it. Furthermore, a person ought to find out more about a charity visiting the website and ideally talking to people at the organization to find out if this organization is really committed to helping the community it serves. One question I always have my students ask is, what would happen to your community if you went out of business tomorrow? In other words, do you understand the role you are playing to help this community? And a lot of times, a lot of organizations don't do that.
What helps ensure that a charity lives on? Because oftentimes individuals set up certain charities or foundations, and kids take over, friends take over, they elect people onto the boards of foundation. What's a common denominator to ensure that the foundation is successful?
Transparency, honesty, a forthright sense of this is what we're doing for the community, and this is what we have done for the community in quantitative as well as heartstring kinds of stories. The idea is that charities are owned by the public. As in the last program you pointed out, this is an organization that is not owned by stockholders, it's really owned by the public, and this is true worldwide. And so the organization must step up to the plate and be as transparent, forthrightly transparent as possible. And that's one indicator. When it's not that way, that's one indicator a donor has of saying, hold it, I'm not sure this is a very good charity.
And it's a double-edged sword too, right? Because if the charities aren't well liked or well respected or credible, less people want to set up charities, and it seems like a very bad cycle. How do we change that and ensure that, well, first of all, explain to people, I suppose, charities and foundations, they do have a positive impact on the vast majority of economies, right?
No question about it. As you just said, it has an impact on the economy. We don't know exactly, but there is an estimate somewhere between 12 and 15% of a charity's activity around the United States anyway is contributed to the gross domestic product. So that's not small change. So charities do have a positive economic impact, and they also have a very positive social impact. They do what government can't, because government is what it is, and business can't afford to because it's not profit-making for the most part. Charities fill a very vital role in society, and that vital role has yet to really be defined, in my view, very well, even here in the United States.
Professor, one final bit of advice we're gonna ask for. Let's just say, for instance, we gave you a pile of money, which could happen actually, and we wanted you to help us give it away to charities. Walk us through what you'd do first.
I would go to the charity and talk to its board of directors. I would then ask them the question I mentioned a moment ago. Then I would examine the senior staff and find out how committed they are, not only from an operational perspective, but also from an ethical decision-making perspective. It has been my experience that the the biggest problems come in the process of not deciding things on an ethical basis. And that's one area that I'm trying to change through my work at Columbia. But I would go through and kick the tires, look at the books, and find out what they have done, what they say they have done, what their vision is, and then come to a conclusion about whether they're worthy of that pile of money that you're going to give me right after the show is over.
Yeah. I'll have Ron drive a truck up to New York for that. In all seriousness, Doug White, thank you very much. It is good advice. Abusing Donor Intent, he is the author of that, a nonprofit expert. Thank you for the advice. It's a very serious topic.